Hi, David. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Mario. Or Manu. Thanks for coming. We'll get started in just a bit.
Morning, Wendy.
Morning, Ashley. Thanks for coming. I'm excited about this.
Me too.
Hi, Max and David. Welcome. I'm Wendy. I'll be your host for today.
Let's talk with Wendy. Agreed. Hi, Wendy.
Hi. Thanks for coming, Max. Nice to meet you.
Wendy, we have a serious technical problem.
Okay.
I literally just logged onto my laptop and it told me that it was going to kick me off to update in about half an hour. How do I stop that?
Are you on a Windows device?
You bet. This is all Microsoft's fault.
Sometimes it lets you put it off, unless I know sometimes it tells you you put it off for too long and it forces it. Worst case, well, I think we will be done with your portion at 30 minutes. But we'd love to still have you on if someone has questions. You could also join on your phone, if you want to kind of dual join and be on your laptop for now, and then join on your.
Can I join on my iPad? I tried, but it wouldn't let me. It just kept saying connecting, and it wouldn't connect.
Interesting. I'm not sure. Sorry, I can't. I'm not sure why.
If you have the Teams app for iPad, then yeah, you can join through there.
Yeah, I just went on and it is connecting. It is not connected.
Restart sometimes helps. Let's see. Have you tried? Yeah, your phone too. Have you tried on your phone?
I could try on my phone. I don't know what kind of a presentation we're going to get with my phone.
Oh, no. Oh, sure. I think you said it's in 30 minutes. It said it was going to restart. I think at least worst case, I think we had slotted you down for the first 25 minutes to half hour. So, but yeah, I hear you might not want to get cut off at 8 at a.
It's literally going to cut me off mid-sentence. I think that is what's going to happen. So can we get someone from Microsoft who designed this POS to tell me how to shut it down?
Hey, Max, I think if you go to your start button on the left, the Windows button, there should be a settings button.
There, I already did it. I just said pause updates for 7 days because,
well,
I'm trying to click on pause updates for 7 days because it says, oh God, I'm at risk for being out of date. I don't want to be out of date. I need to be hip and cool and
relevant.
You have to be relevant.
I have to be relevant. Come on, pause.
So now that we figured out this, Wendy, do you just want to quick go over with Max what to expect so that we're all set to go?
Sure thing. Thanks, David. Max, did you want your video on for this? If you want to test your video.
I can turn it off.
Oh, we don't see your video. It might be great to see you if you are able to turn it on.
I just turned it on again. First, I was off.
There you are.
I can see me. I look good.
Yep, we see you. Looks great. And so you can see my screen as well. You should see my slide up. Do you see that okay?
Well, I see your ID. Assuming your last name is Gordon.
Yeah. Becky, do you see my slide up? I might have to reshare.
I see
Yeah,
it.
you're up.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
see-
stopped sharing, and now you're coming back.
Okay, 1 second.
There's 7 of us total. That's what I got.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Let me pull up our PowerPoint here. Okay, great. Do y'all see my slides now?
All I see is a black screen.
I see the author Q&A, Max Brooks, The Mountain.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I just got a black screen.
Hmm.
I've got all our names below on the bar, and above it there's just blankness.
Okay, no worries. I think the audience can see the slides, Max, and I don't have too many, so I'll just tell you what my slides say, and then really I'll stop sharing and hand it over to you. And then Becky, because y'all can see my screen, but basically I'm going to introduce. We have a quick chat introduction for participants who are coming in, so I'll lead that part. I'll review the
It's
event.
up.
Oh, great.
Yay!
Wonderful. And so then I'll just say, do our rundown. So you're going to share the mountain. I think we talked about 8 to 10 minutes. You might want to just share a story. And then we'll do most of the time Q&A for you, Max, from the chat. I'll be moderating that, so I will call folks forward so you don't have to worry about the chat. And then, Becky, I'll go ahead and introduce you to take us through the amazing world. We'll have both students and teachers on the call, so you can kind of frame that both ways, both kind of sharing how teachers can use the lesson, but then also students, amazingly, how you will be recipients of said lesson. And then I'll end it, everybody, right before about 5 minutes at the hour. We'll be giving a door prize, thank you, and all of that. Pretty simple. Any questions, everybody?
Wendy, remind me, what age group are we addressing right now?
We have got teachers and also students in classrooms were invited, so you'll have both audiences. And
But I
students
mean,
could be anywhere from K to 12. Could be anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lessons were targeted to ages 8 through 12, if that helps.
That's important because that
Because
will
that's kind of the
determine-
reading level of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, everybody, I think we have folks on. So any other questions or I'll get started. You all good, Max?
Ready to go?
All right. Awesome. So we are recording. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to a Minecraft Education Edition special event. We have an author Q&A today with Max Brooks, author of The Mountain and the Island. Before we get going, everyone, please use the chat on the right-hand side of Teams. We'll be recording today, so we'll be sure to send this out. But please let us know. What's your city, state, country? What do you teach? Or if you're a student today, what grade are you in? And have you read The Island or The Mountain before? So go ahead and drop that in the chat. Today, everyone, we will be using the chat for your questions. So if you have a question to ask Max or a connection you want to share, please use that chat and I will be bringing those forward to be answered. So let's check out the chat today. What do we have with us? Welcome, Marion. Come on in. Hello, Julie. Great to have you here. If you're just coming in, we're dropping our introductions in the chat today. Welcome from Romania, Marion. Great to have you here. Let us know what you teach and if you've read The Island or The Mountain before. Hi, Manu. Great to have you here. Hello, Tudor. Great to have you. Welcome. Thanks, Marion, using our GIFs. So let us know where you're at and what you teach, and we'll get started in just a moment. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started, everybody, but please feel free to use the chat today as we go forward. With that, here's our agenda for our event today. Max Brooks is going to share a little bit about the mountain and how he wrote it, and the island, and the history of writing both of those amazing books, and his love for Minecraft. And then we'll take some Q&A. So do start thinking about any questions you have about the book, about Max. We would love to ask that of Max today. Then we'll transition and dive into a brand new world and lesson to see how you can bring this to your students. Please share today if there's anything that is an aha moment for you, or something that you learned today. Share a screenshot or share your thoughts on #MinecraftEDU. We'll have a door prize, a copy of the book, to give away at the end of the session today. So do share any of your thoughts. With that, I did want to go ahead and introduce you to our two amazing presenters today. Please feel free to reach out to them and follow them on Twitter. Let them know what you think of today's presentation. We have Max Brooks and Becky Keene. Max, did you want to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. For anybody who has no idea who I am and is looking at my picture and saying like, oh, there's the guy from 2.5 Men. No, I'm not John Cryer. I'm an author. I've written a bunch of books, and I'll say that most up until the Minecraft books, it's basically targeted a very grown-up audience. I've written books like World War Z, which has got me a horror fan base, or the Harlem Hellfighters, true story of World War I, that's gotten me sort of a military and government fan base. And so when I was approached by publishing house to ask me would I be interested in writing a Minecraft novel, what I should have said to them was, are you insane? Why in the world would I want to ditch my horror fans and my military government fans to start from scratch to essentially write fan fiction based on a child's video game? That's what I should have said if I hadn't already played Minecraft. And the reason I wrote these books, the reason I'm here, is because when I started playing this game with my son, who was a little boy back then, I realized this could be one of the greatest single teaching tools since the printing press. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I am not exaggerating. Because right now our education system needs all the help it can get, because the world has changed so much. You know, it's not what we learn anymore, right? The internet has nullified that. It's not fact retention anymore. It's how we learn. How do our brains take in information and process it and then apply it to real life? You know, when we were hunter-gatherers, adaptation and innovation were the keys to success. But as hunting and gathering gave way to agriculture, innovation and adaptation sort of took a back seat to memorization, routine, and efficiency, doing one thing over and over again and trying to figure out the best ways to do it as efficiently as possible. And then when the Industrial Revolution came in, that was king. And so we developed the Prussian model of education, basically to train our brains, to train our children to be able to be standardized. And it worked. Whoever could master the Prussian model of education ruled the world. But the Industrial Revolution is over, and we need to prepare our kids for the gig economy, which is essentially hunting and gathering all over again. So our kids are going to need to learn to be innovative and mentally agile, because they're always going to be going out and hunting and gathering new gigs. So how do we pivot? How do we adapt? Well, any teacher knows the best way to get kids excited about what you need to teach them is bring something into the classroom that they already love. When I was a kid, video games were the best complementary tool for the Prussian model of education, right? There was one way to solve a problem in these video games in the 80s. And if you solved it that one way as quickly as possible, boom, rise up a level, win the game. Minecraft is not that way at all. Minecraft is a life simulator which teaches you that there are infinite ways to solve a problem and infinite ways to have those ways to solve a problem. If you have something like don't starve, you can hunt, you can fish, you can forage, you can farm, and there's so many ways to do all that. So it is an amazing tool for creative learning, but it also teaches you the basic social emotional skills that our kids are going to need to be out there in the world. It teaches them patience and planning and perseverance, because as teachers, we pivot from rote memorization to project-based learning. We have this amazing tool, which is the ultimate project-based game. Find food, build a house, accrue wealth from under the earth, defend yourself from the monsters that come out in the night, and they do. So when I was playing this game with my kid, I realized, oh my God, this is it. This is what he needs. So when I was then asked, do you have any interest in writing a Minecraft book? I thought, oh, do I? So I wrote Minecraft the Island, which is a character that wakes up in this world and swims to an island and has to survive like Robinson Crusoe. But as this character is crafting the means to keep himself alive, he also realizes he's crafting himself. He's learning life lessons that he can take beyond his island. And when he leaves his island, because the last lesson of the book is strength does not come from a comfort zone, but from leaving it. We then pick up in the next book, The Mountain. The mountain is where he comes to a whole new frozen continent and he meets another castaway like himself. Because book one was all about learning how to live with yourself, how to figure yourself out. But what's the next logical step? How to live with someone else. What is partnership? What is friendship? And so that is book two, The Mountain. Two people trying to figure out how to work together and compromise because we all need each other. So those are my two books, and in them I have steeped all the lessons that I think Minecraft has to teach. But that's just lessons for individuals. The lessons for the classroom keep on going. You're going to hear about that in a little bit. So I want to stop blathering, and I want to open the floor to whatever questions you've got for me.
Awesome. I'm just looking in the chat, everybody. Thanks so much, Max. While I wait for some questions to come in, how long did it take you to write The Mountain?
Well, you know, the mountain the mountain didn't take me long at all. The island did. And that's a lesson within itself. That's a lesson for kids and a lesson that I impart to my son constantly, which is you have to take writing in drafts. You know, when I first wrote The Island, I thought, okay, you know, I've written New York Times bestsellers. I got this. I know what I'm doing. And I turned it in and they said, it's not what we need. It's you got to go back and redo it. Which is the lesson that I impart to my son all the time, which is sometimes you do your best, but your best needs to get better. And that's what I had to do. My best needed to get better. So I went back to the well and then back to the well again and again and again. And finally, 10 drafts later, we had a book. Now, Minecraft the Mountain was probably the easiest book I'd ever written because it really is an extension of the first book. But the first book, I had to figure out my voice. And another really, really important lesson in that is everything is a team effort. No one is solitary. It looks solitary, right? This is my workspace. I look like I work alone, but I don't. I had an amazing editor, Sarah Peed, who kept pushing me and saying, go farther, describe it more. What does the grass feel like under your feet? What does the breeze smell like? And so that actually was a great inspiration for The Mountain, how people need each other. It's because it's always a team. And then I was very, very lucky to have an amazing marketing team and publicity team at Random House who took this book, this brand new idea, and managed to convince the world that there was some worth. I couldn't have done that on my own. So all together, we launched something I think very beautiful and important. And I owe it all to the people on the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. That's really wonderful to hear that it's a team effort for sure. And that's inspirational to some of our students who might be watching or reading your book. Tudor wants to know, does the mountain and Minecraft and the island have anything to do with the Minecraft lore? Can you tell us the connection between Minecraft lore and the books?
Well, when you say lore, it's what I tried to do was be brutally orthodox to the game itself. And that goes back to everything else I do in all my work. I always try to steep everything in research. I should just back up and say that I get a lot of my education as a kid from fiction, because I have, at the time, it was right now they call it a learning difference. I have dyslexia. Now they call it a difference. But back then it was a disability, a crushing disability. And so school got in the way of my education. So I had to learn from fiction, and I always sought authors that infused real facts with their entertainment. So my hero was Tom Clancy. I wanted to be a writer like him. So even when I come to a book like Minecraft, I have to be an ardent student of the game and make sure that everything I do is in that game. So I'm not kidding. When you open the island or the mountain, you actually see the following is based on true events. It is. It's everything I've played in that game.
Awesome. Hopefully that answers your question, Tudor. Keep those questions coming in, everybody. I've got, if you're just coming in, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from and what you teach or what grade you're in. Marion has a question from a parent. Do you recommend this for kids or teens or both? I have a 6-year-old that loves Minecraft. Let us know. Do you think 6-year-olds for read aloud, or what do you recommend, Max?
I highly recommend. Well, I highly recommend playing the game for all ages. But I also think that my book works as a kid's book. Although strangely enough, sometimes I get young adults saying they enjoy it. But I designed this for children. They say it's 8 through 12, but I think you could be younger. There's nothing in there that I think is particularly offensive or terrifying. I think it depends on how well you know your kid, because let's be honest, blanket statements about ages are meant for the majority. But as every parent, you know that sometimes you have a 6-year-old which can handle things that might be terrifying, where you might get a 12-year-old who's not. And that, by the way, that 12-year-old was probably me. I was a very sensitive little kid, so I was very conscious about things that would hurt my feelings or make me cry or whatnot. And I try to be conscious about that in the book, but I also don't try to shy away from some of the hard facts of life, that, there are dangers, and sometimes you will fail, and it's not the failure, it's the recovery from failure. But I have kept, the mind of young people in mind when I write it. So I think, yes, it's completely appropriate. And by the way, if your kid is too young to read this, to actually read, or like me, they have a learning disability, that's why I put so much effort into the audiobooks, because audiobooks saved my life. The Braille Institute saved my education, because my mom discovered it and had all my books read onto audiobooks. So that's why with this one, we've got Jack Black reading the first one, and we've got Sean Astin reading the second one, because I want it to be as entertaining and as fulfilling as the printed page.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. All right, another question we have in. Welcome if you're just coming in. Hello from Finland, Minna, primary school teacher for 9 to 10 years old. Let us know if you have questions in the chat for Max. Thanks, Marion, for your question. What might be next, Max? What do you think your next book will be after The Mountain?
Well, as far as the Minecraft books go, there might be another one. I don't like to tip my hat too much. That also, maybe that's just me, it just puts pressure on me. But there's definitely something else in the works.
Oh yeah, totally. That's the whole thing. You realize.
All right, we'll be on bated breath for that. We've got another question in for, did you always know that you wanted to be a writer, and what advice would you give to young writers?
Yeah, I knew when I was 12 years old. I sat down, I wrote my first short story. I also have like crazy ADHD and OCD. And it was the first time in my young life that I lived in the moment, sitting down to write something. And I knew this is what I want out of my life. And my mother, thank God, realized that and realized, how do I get a dyslexic kid to become a professional writer? So she helped bring me those tools. And the tools that I learned, the social and emotional tools, more important than the practical ones, I would impart to young writers, which is it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of perseverance, because you take things in drafts, right? And the first draft is fun. The first draft is exciting and wonderful. Don't worry about making it good. Just write, get to the end. And that's when you have your most fun. Because if you wait to edit everything as you go, you'll never finish. Then the next drafts come, and that's where the real work comes. And my mentor as a teenager was Alan Alda, and he taught me that anybody can write, but a writer rewrites. So that's where the grunt work comes in, because at the end of the day, this is a job, and you got to do your job every day, even when you don't want to do it. And that makes you a professional. And the only other advice I can give at this point is, at least for me, write what you love and write what you want to read. Because I guess there are some writers out there that can identify an audience and say, oh, well, here's a market and I'm going to write for that market, and good for them. I'm jealous of them. But I don't know how to do that. All I know how to do is write the kind of books that I would want to read. And so that passion is my fuel, and it keeps me going. And that also gets around what we call writer's block, but I think really is writer's fear. I think it's very rare that people just don't have ideas. I think they don't think their ideas are good. Well, if you like it, at least it's got one fan.
Love it. Thanks so much for the inspiration, Max. We've got a question. What made you want to write about Minecraft? Are you a fan of the game? What's one of your biggest builds that you might have done in the game?
Right. Well, because I'd said earlier, I'm a huge fan of the game, and I think it's the greatest teaching tool we got right now. I think it teaches kids everything they're going to need to know in this crazy post-industrial gig economy, where they're going to have to be hunter-gatherers again. They're going to have to train their brains to take life in steps and take life in projects. Project-based learning is the best tool we've got now, because it's not 1980, where you're just going to go and check boxes and get a job and work at a job for 20 years. Those days are over. If there's any Gen Xers watching, remember our Easy Rider movie? It was called Reality Bites. Remember Ethan Hawke whining? What am I supposed to do, man? Be like my dad, work at a factory for 20 years? Dude, you should be so lucky. Those factories are gone. So how do we teach our kids to do that? Minecraft teaches them. That's why I fell in love with this game, and I thought this game is important. And I'm so lucky to be given the opportunity to write these books that can teach these lessons that I see in the game. Because like anything, Minecraft will give you what you put into it. If you just let your kids play Minecraft and leave them alone, I don't know how much they're going to get out of it. They're probably just going to have a lot of fun. But if you play it with them, or if you talk to them about it and make them realize they're not just having fun, but they're learning, that's the gem of it.
Awesome. Great question. Marion says the book cover looks great, Max. Question about your thinking around the first person nature and gender in the island and the mountain.
Well, for first person, you mean my thinking around it? I'm not really sure what the question is. What was my thinking around first person nature?
Maybe
the first person
choice of putting their first person in. Maybe that's what it is. Brian, if you wanted to elaborate in the chat, feel free.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm answering your question correctly.
While Brian types that in, Tudor also asks, how did your friends react when they found out you wanted to make a Minecraft book? I imagine Tudor's friends would be very stoked. What did your friends do?
Well, I'm very lucky that I had to get over looking like a fool very early in life, because I've always gone in the opposite direction of a lot of people. I mean, my first book the first book was the Zombie Survival Guide, and they tried to the world tried to peg it as a comedy book and tried to peg me as my dad, Mel Brooks. So they tried to be Mel Brooks Jr. is making fun of zombies. And I said, no, that is not it at all. I'm a real nerd. I'm really into this stuff. If there was a real zombie plague, how would I survive? So I had to fight tooth and nail for my own identity and get over people laughing at me. So then once I've established this, once I've got my horror fans, and then I walked away from that to do the Harlem Hellfighters, which is a true story of African-American soldiers in World War I, which my horror fans were like, I'm not interested in this. And I said, yeah, I am. So then I had to leave that all behind and all the military and government fans I've now built over the years to say, no, no, no. This is not just fan fiction that I'm writing for a child's video game. This is a teaching aid. And of course, some roll their eyes, but they've been rolling their eyes at me since my first book. So my whole career has been fighting to prove myself and to prove the worth of my work.
Super inspiring. Thanks, Max. We've also got in here, what is your favorite animal? Mine are cats and the dolphin, and I like them all except the pillagers. Of course, don't like them, says Fabian or Ashley.
Well, my favorite animal, certainly the favorite animal of my character in the island, is a cow named Moo. And he loves the cow and they get along. But also he realizes that not only does the cow give friendship, the cow teaches him a lot about the ecology of this planet, because if he had eaten the cow, he would not have gotten the milk. And the milk is what keeps him alive, not only in the first part of the game, because initially in the island, he lives like our primitive ancestors. He lives like a scavenger. He has to eat zombie flesh and then wash it down with milk that saves him from the hunger that hits him from the rotten zombie flesh. So he's very grateful to Moo, but also Moo keeps him sane. And that's one of the lessons of the book. Friends keep you sane. So she's instrumental in his survival.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Hope that was helpful, Ashley. Back to the question about first person, was it an intentional choice to avoid the use of pronouns and references to gender in the island?
Well, it was intentional because in the beginning, he didn't know what he was, because he's alone. And quite frankly, that's not really important. What was important was food and shelter and physical safety and discovering how to solve problems. So that doesn't come into play until he goes to the continent on the next book and then runs into a girl. And she thinks of herself as a girl and she says, yeah, I'm a girl. And what about you? That's why his name, she gives him the name. They name each other. And his name is Guy. And she's like, you're a guy. And he's like, I am. And she's like, well, don't you feel like one? And he's like, yeah, I actually do feel like a guy. And I'm a guy. So that's his name. Likewise, he names her Summer because in this freezing tundra, this Arctic taiga, when she laughs, it feels like a summer breeze to him. So he names her Summer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks so much, Max. We've got a couple more questions coming in here, and then we'll switch over and dive into the world, which is really amazing. And I know lots of folks are excited, and excited for you to see it too, Max. We can hopefully have you jump in and share any thoughts as we share the world. Any final questions for Max about the mountain or the island or his journey in writing it? I do have a question here around, thank you for sharing your story around dyslexia and working so hard to engage those learners. For kiddos who are learning in different ways, which elements of the story do you feel are strongest for them?
Honestly, I think the best parts of the book for young learners are the failures and the mistakes. Because I don't think we've done enough of this, certainly in the coming up generation. We haven't taught our kids how to fail, because failure is a skill. Everybody fails. There's no such thing as winners or losers, because the idea of being a winner or a loser means that you either win 100% of the time or lose 100% of the time. That's not real life. There are no winners and losers, but there is winning and losing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And we learn from our defeats. If we're smart, we learn from our defeats much more than our successes. What do our defeats teach us about ourselves? The most successful people on this planet are the people who have risked and failed and then recovered and then learned. That is critical, this notion of taking risks and then going down in flames and then rising from the flames like a phoenix. Thank God I had dyslexia, because for me, dyslexia was always a problem. I never got to coast. I never just got to say, oh, I got this. I always had to figure out a way to get around or under or over a problem, because I could never just slide into it like the kids around me. Well, I got news for you. A lot of my fellow Gen Xers are as punched out as these poor millennials that are wandering around the planet not knowing how to adapt to this new world. I got friends who mastered the Prussian model of education, straight A's, rocking their exams, Ivy League schools. They can't get a job now. And they're thinking, what? I checked all the boxes. I did everything expected of me. I solved the problem the one right way, just like my teacher told me. Remember older people, when we go to our teachers and say like, I solved the problem, they'd be like, yes, but you didn't solve it the right way. Well, the kids who did that, I know them. I got a friend, and I'm gonna say the name. He's polishing his Yale class ring in the unemployment line. So my dyslexia taught me that you got to risk, you got to innovate, you've got to adapt. And I think another critical lesson of the book, critical, when the world changes, you got to change with it. Because that actually happened to me writing the book, right? I'd mastered the game, I played enough hours, I got it, I started writing the book. One day I logged onto the game, all the rules had changed. They'd given it an update. Oh my God. So instead of having a panic attack and a meltdown, I realized what a great life lesson that is, right? We're living in a time of constant change. And if we can teach our children to be comfortable with that change and understand that they might develop a skill set and then some new technology or whatnot might come along, and that skill set is as obsolete as flint napping. Okay, they'll roll with it.
I love it. Thanks so much, Max. Awesome, Carrie. We've got here, we have the mountain in our library. Thanks, Carrie. That's so great.
Thanks,
Wonderful. So with that, Max, I'll move from Q&A. I hope you can still hang out with us, because questions might keep coming in, especially as we start to see what this looks like in Minecraft itself. So if everyone wants to really quick, just unmute, turn your camera on, and just give a nice clap and thank you to Max for sharing all of that inspiration with us today. All right. So 1, 2, 3, let's hear it. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Go back
This
on
looks
mute
really
now.
good.
Oh, good. Thank
Thank
you. We love you, but back on mute, everyone. Thanks so much. All right, so I'm going to shift this over to our mentor, our global training partner extraordinaire, Becky Keene from I2E, who's going to walk us through the new lesson. And Melinda's dropped in the link there where you can find the lesson plans. Thanks, Brian, as well, and the Word file in the library. Just a quick note, everybody, oops. Okay, I think I'm okay. Just if you don't have Minecraft Education Edition and you're watching today, do know that if you download it, you can try a demo lesson. We have Hour of Code and Good Trouble with John Lewis. So please give it a try if you don't have it yet. And then we hope, of course, if you do have it, to join us and play along in the world today. A few other notes as well. If you need help while you're playing, I do want to give a shout out to our support team. You can always drop and make a ticket. Our link is up here. Oops. And with that, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Becky. Becky, want to introduce yourself quickly and then take us away to this magical world?
Yes, thank you, Wendy. And I am sharing, so I'm going to go ahead and take the spotlight off so everybody can see what's going on here. Thanks, everyone. And Max, that was so inspiring to hear about how you wrote the book and the whole background. I was definitely honored to be a part of the team who got to write the lessons to go alongside this amazing piece. Wendy, can you see what I'm sharing?
Yeah, it looks great.
Great. Okay, thanks for confirming. So we have put together 5 literacy lessons for around ages 8 to 12. Now you could do this with younger students, you could do this with older students, because teachers who are here right now, we know that you have the power to differentiate and make things simpler or harder depending on the needs of your learners. But we want to share with you today 5 literacy lessons without giving away too many spoilers in case you haven't read the book yet, all these students who are on the call today. But we want to just talk you through what are the different types of things that you could be doing in the world with your students. So I'm going to give a quick overview of the 5 lessons. Then we're going to take a look at them in the world. And Brian has posted a link to all of this content in the chat, and you can always find it by tweeting to me or the Playcraft Learn handle anytime after today's session. So lesson 1 drops us on the beach. The main character, who Max revealed is later named Guy, finds himself kind of woozy and waking up on the beach. And so part of his journey is survival. So when the character spawns on the beach, this is an opportunity for the character to kind of scurry around and find some things to survive. When the character lands, he doesn't know what he's going to need, where he's going to go, what he's going to do, what problems he will face, and so he needs to gather some supplies. And for students, this is an opportunity for you to really show your creativity in understanding what in Minecraft might you need to survive. And again, we'll take a look at this in the world in just a minute, but I wanted to give us an overview of where we're headed first. The second lesson takes us into an underground haven, a safe place to hide, because again, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but Guy is going to meet some challenges out there in the taiga world that Max has created for us. And so he needs to find a hiding place where he can spend the night. And so you, as you experience the game, will find this underground hiding place with a chest full of supplies. It's been abandoned. And your job is to create a safe place to spend the night before you continue on your journey. And again, this is a place where students can be really creative and determine, what types of things will cause them to be successful in this space. For teachers, in this lesson, students are actually going to take screenshots of their space and create a real estate ad using that advertising style of writing to show off their underground space. In lesson 3, we navigate ourselves to the base of the mountain. And in the book, there are some clues on how to get inside, which I'm going to end up revealing when we dig into the world. So there's going to be a little bit of spoiler alert happening when I show this world off. But basically, students journey to the mountain and they get to go inside and explore this amazing creation that Summer, the other character Max talked about, has created. She has done an amazing job of creating a space where there are things Guy has never seen before. And so students get to explore these possibilities and then actually reverse engineer some of Summer's creations, modify them, and use explanatory writing to explain what they did and how it improves one of Summer's builds. So this is, again, the inside of the mountain. This is where students are going to start seeing some in-game assessment options like camera, book and quill, and portfolio that will be used throughout the rest of the lessons. In lesson 4, students will journey to the Nether. Now that's a really exciting part of the book, and there are huge adventures happening in the Nether. It's actually a pretty big section of the mountain, as Guy and Summer meet a variety of different creatures and have to survive and find their way out. In this version of the game, the characters go into the Nether and have to save some animals who are trapped in the Nether. And so that's an opportunity for students to use what Guy calls the way of the cube. And in the book, you will hear all about the way of the cube and how Guy uses patience and perseverance and planning to ensure that he is successful in all of these challenges. So students will do a personal reflection writing on how they use the way of the cube to be successful meeting these challenges in the Nether. The final lesson in our series talks about the fressons. Now, throughout the book, Guy communicates his understanding of what friendship is all about. And you could say that is a main theme throughout the entire book. He comes up with about 20 of these friendship lessons or fressons throughout the book. And this is not a spoiler because it happens all throughout. But one of the things that we ask students to do is to simulate some of those fressons in the game, either through multiplayer or through using some NPCs to stand in as friends, and use the camera tool to take pictures of those fressons throughout the story and provide those in a portfolio at the very end. So there's an overview of the 5 lessons and how literacy is a component to experiencing these things in the game. So I'm going to switch now to Minecraft and take a look with you at the game itself in the world. Before I hit play here, I already have it prepped and staged. I'm going to pop over to the chat and just make sure there are no questions coming in. I think we're good to move ahead. So here we go. Okay, so I've spawned, as we talked about, here on the beach. Let me get my heads up controls there. And I interact with this first character, NPC, and we've named them all Max, after Max, the author of the book, of course. And this is where I'm told as a student, hey, you need to get some supplies to be safe. So as a student, I'm going to look around, and this is an exciting part where, you know, even if students don't know Minecraft really well, if all they know is how to mine things, they're still going to have an opportunity to dig into the components of the world and locate things that they need for survival. You can see there's trees here, berries, and for sake of time, I'm not going to actually go into every little piece. These lessons are designed to last your students quite a bit of time. So I'm kind of whisking us along here. But after they gather their supplies, they're going to take a screenshot of that and then explain, again, using explanatory writing, what they chose to take with them on this perilous, unknown adventure and why. So that's really important to think about as we move into lesson 2. We move to lesson 2 by clicking on this next NPC who lets us know that he can clear the wall of snow here when we're ready to move on. So the wall of snow disappears and we can move forward through the game. So here we are coming up on another character, which of course we all know means there's something to be done here. This character asks me to go find shelter for the night because there are creatures that appear in the dark. One thing to note for teachers and students, if you are interested in reading this text in the game, whether it's a board or NPC dialogue in another way that's more inclusive and accessible, go ahead and click on the Immersive Reader icon right here in the NPC. Max talked about earlier in this webinar the importance of audio text, the importance of giving students an opportunity to hear text read aloud, especially for someone who identifies as a dyslexic, for someone who struggles with focus or executive function. And so being able to access the text in the game, not only in a way that's more inclusive, but also with different language support, is exceptionally important because we know that these games are being used all over the world and they need to be accessible in a variety of languages. So this is what Immersive Reader looks like. I'm able then to read the text in a way that is, again, more accessible and inclusive. I can listen to the text being read aloud to me. I can also use the preferences to translate this text. So what an amazing opportunity to be able to access this content in a context that is appropriate to the location. I'm going to choose by document there, and then you'll see that now the in-game text is available to listen to and to read in Arabic, of course, switching right to left here. So students anywhere in the world can access the NPC dialogue through a wide variety of ways. When I'm done reading, I can click the back arrow button to return to the game. So that's a really important component in Minecraft that makes this truly better for everyone. We know that the Minecraft team wants to build a better world through play, and part of that is through ensuring access to all kids. So I'm following the grass path now as the NPC told me to do, and I'm heading over to the next one. Now you can see the mountain in the background, kind of foreboding, right? Like what's going on there? And I need to make my way up to the mountain. So I'm headed over to this NPC and I'll click on, but we fall. Make it to the NPC. We actually fell through the ice into a giant ravine. And students can explore here. There's really only one way to go, and that is down the stairs to another NPC who tells us that this is a great place to make shelter for the night. We may need to do some crafting to create what you need. Now, because I know this world, I am going to go ahead and grab that arrow. Oh wait, hang on, that torch, because, which I've done before, hang on, because it's very dark down the stairs. So I'm gonna grab this and take it with me, because I know from an experience that I am going to need that when I get down here. So I'm down in the dark. This is the room. Let me light that with my torch. There we go. So I'm going to check out the chest. Now there's lots of things in here that I can use to create a space. I have dye and wood and sand and coal for making more torches, of course. I have wool. And one of the things that your students will likely know is that they are going to want to sleep, because in the world, it talks about having a safe place to spend the night. So we're going to go ahead and look at how to do that. We're going to come down here. We need to make a crafting table. I mean, it becomes a little bit exciting. It also told me I'm going to need a button. So we end up with students who are going to have to create some of the things they need in the game, whether it's a crafting table, a bed to spend the night, any of those supplies. They're able to craft here from inside the game. Now, again, not getting into all those details, but I will tell you, having done this lesson with a 10-year-old, she immediately crafted and had this like gorgeous room, flowers in pots, all sorts of things sitting in the windows here, lots of beautiful decor. However, because I am doing a demo, we are going to just move it along by placing a button on the wall next to the iron door so I can open it and move on through. So we're going to say that we've spent the night in the underground safe place. This is the end of lesson 2. Coming up, again, it's evening because I didn't lay on my bed and sleep, but it's okay for the demo. It's talking about what to do next. So we're going to continue the grass path here, and you can see, I actually think this is beautiful at night. Your students will sleep in their bed and come up in the daytime, but I do enjoy the glowing view of the lava at night. I think it's really beautiful. Coming up here, The moon is coming out and we have this beautiful view right here. I actually think this was really pretty. So coming up on the next NPC, Max tells us that we've come a long way, and this red poppy marks the place where we can get access to the inside of the mountain. If students come up here, we have this nice poem. If it's refuge that you seek, do not cower. Safety is only in arm's reach under the flower. So let's go back a little bit here. We're going to dig under the flower and see what we can find. All right. Oh, and immediately, if you're working with students who have used Minecraft, they're going to go, oh, a lever. Or if you are outside the United States, it's a lever. So when I click the lever or lever, let's look what happens. The lava flow stops. Students should be immediately thinking about, how did that happen? How did this occur in the world? We're preparing them to be thinking through engineering, redstone, different components in the game that build mechanics. And I see revealed here a door, which of course, if there is a door, I want to go through it. I'm gonna wait for the lava to go away, to disperse, so I'm not burned. I could also like jump over, lots of different things here available. Here's another NPC, so I'll stop and talk to Max. This is the directions for lesson 3, but of course, teachers, you'd be guiding your students through this part, asking us to look for redstone and netherite specifically inside the mountain base that Summer has created, and also to go ahead and take these items. You'll see that as I click on them, I'm given through commands these items to my inventory, because I'm going to use those later on in the game. You'll also notice students immediately start interacting with content in this mountain base. It's exciting to have some gold armor. Students might stop and grab that. Looking at the different pieces that are in this main entrance. Then students head through, and this is the wow moment where we get to see the inside of Summer's mountain base. There's also other things to interact with that cause you to think, oh, there's more going on here than just a simple build. What is going on inside this beautiful mountain? Max tells us what to do when we're done. This is directions for lesson 4, how to get down to the Nether portal. But for lesson 3, this is an opportunity for students to explore. There are lots of different places inside this mountain base that students can figure out what is going on. Things are growing, there's pools of water, there are chests with additional content in them. More importantly, Summer has created a whole world of, oh, we're gonna come back there in just a minute. A whole world of things. And this is where students get to explore, like, what are these materials and how are these things working, and how have these components been powered based on Summer's learnings and exploration. Let me grab this as we're here, which is pretty important later on. So this is where students get to take apart some of those creations and actually reverse engineer them. Look at all the things going on in these rooms. Reverse engineer them to create something even better, and then write about what they've done that creates maybe an improvement to one of Summer's creations. So using design thinking, reverse engineering, redstone mechanics, netherite, all sorts of exciting components there. Now we arrive at lesson 4. This is where we get to think about going into the Nether, where the Hoglins and Piglins have kidnapped many of our animals. Now, when you read the book, you will learn, and again, try not to give any spoilers away, but Guy is a vegetarian. We learned that in The Island if you read the first book. And so Guy has a true heart for animals. He does not want to see animals harmed. He doesn't choose to eat animals. So having these animals captured by Hoglins and Piglins to the main character is a very big deal. And we'll use, as I talked about earlier, the way of the cube to save these animals once in the Nether. So here I am appearing in the Nether. It's going to have to load here a new terrain. Ah! Here we are down in the Nether. So another character greets me and has some things available, because getting these animals back, saving them from the hoglins and piglins, takes some effort. For example, many of your students will know that to get a horse or a pig to come with you, you can saddle and ride it. To get a chicken to follow you, you might sprinkle some seeds. You might need to hang a carrot off a stick to get that pig to go where you want it to go. And so you're going to need some of these tools to ensure success at this level of the game. Again, for sake of time, we're not going to do an entire build or a rescue, excuse me, right now. But if you follow the red brick here, you'll see this very perilous section, and I'm going to need to like build some things to get across it, right? So let's take a look. How do I build this without falling into lava? Now, if your students fall into the lava, never fear. We can be saved by, oh, I'm out. Hang on. Here we go. By making sure that they spawn right back. So if your student was to fall into the lava at this point, they spawn right back here at the start of the Nether. They don't have to start the whole world over, which is really important. So looking around, trying to find these animals, everyone help me look. Where are the animals that need saving? We may have to go a little further. And actually, this first one comes up right away. I may have to build a little more here. And I didn't bring enough supplies. Oh, this is a demo fail. I should have gathered more before I came. So you'll see here, you can actually see them in the distance. There are animals hiding all around here. And one of the things that we need to do is use our supplies from earlier in the game to help capture them without falling down into the lava. And once I do that, I can take them back with me to the mountain base and save them. So I'll make sure when I show this the next time to have enough supplies to make it across. So you all can see that happen. But for now, I'm going to head back to the mountain base so we have time. Yes, I could have gone into creative mode. Cheater. No, that's true. I absolutely could have. I'm in survival. That's one of the things our students do, right? They hack right into the other mode and then get what they need and then go back, which is fun. Okay, so I'm going to go back up the stairs, out of the mountain base now for the last activity, which is where we get to think about the fressons I talked about at the beginning. Now, this is an opportunity that students have to explore the world as a whole. And I'm actually going to time set this, speaking of cheats, today there so that we are back in daylight to head over to explore the rest of the world. Now, if students are exploring, they're going to find the igloo, which again, I'm not going to tell you why that's important. But when you read the book, you will definitely find the igloo as being important. And that's the setting for lesson 5. Just kind of hustling over here. You can see it appear in the distance. As we come over to the igloo, there is an NPC here at the outset that explains lesson number 5. Okay, and this is where we go into the fressons. Now, because I haven't invited someone to play this with me right now in multiplayer, I'm actually going to switch back to showing you the PowerPoint because I'm going to show just a very quick little video of what this would look like, and I'll just talk over it. Let me skip forward. As if I do have friends here with me in the lesson. Okay, all right. So a student now at this point would grab that camera grab a friend, set up some photos of them showing off these lessons with a friend in the game, take some photos, build a portfolio, and then write captions in the portfolio about which lesson they're showing off. So for example, I've just taken a photo of friends respect each other's life choices. And that's because Matthew, the player of this game, is holding a carrot and the friend is holding a piece of rabbit. And that is incredibly important information in the book that I will not spoil now. But that's an example of showing off one of the lessons in the game. So we are about at end of time. I hope that you have enjoyed this overview of what we've been able to work with the team to create. It's truly an incredibly powerful learning experience to bring students in. I'm going to back up because there's a really nice little shot here as we take some questions at the end of the mountain in the background.
So beautiful. Amazing, Becky. Thanks for the detailed breakdown. I'm ready to jump in. I hope everybody else is who's watching. There's some excitement about some of the elements that are in there. If you have any questions about our lessons, let us know, everybody. Lots of claps all around. We are at time, but we'll be here if you have any questions in the chat, everyone. Just another huge thanks to Becky to walking us through. You should have a link now to the lesson plans and the world in the library. Go play. We hope you let us know on Twitter. Be sure to tweet at Max Brooks Author and Becky Keene. Let them know how much you enjoyed their work today. I am going to give away a door prize in our chat for being here today. Some good questions. Oh, Jennifer has a question. How much time do you think it would take to go through the whole thing? And
so, I mean, that's always going to depend on your students. I hate to, I'm not trying to put off your question, Jennifer, at all, but so I've done this with 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds personally, because I never release anything I haven't done with kids already. And that took, to actually play the game part, the game components took about an hour. For the 10-year-old, took a little less time for the 12-year-old. The 12-year-old knows Minecraft a little better, so they were just faster at the Nether challenges, especially. The writing components will completely depend on your students, and I would recommend scaling them down or scaling them bigger with more explanatory details, better word choice, more transition words, right? All the things that we're looking for as teachers in our writing lessons as the students get older. So really it would be about reading the book. When you look at the lesson plans, it tells you which chapter to stop and do this lesson on. So I've read the book. You definitely want to do these as you go through the book with your students.
thanks, Becky. All right, the winner in today's chat is going to be Carrie Walker. If you're still here, you are a random door prize winner. I'm going to put our email in to redeem your prize today of a copy of The Mountain. Thank you so much, Max. I'm not sure if you're still here, Max, but thank you so much. We really appreciated your Q&A. I know, oh, there you are. Amazing. Any final words, Max, to inspire folks as they go off to read your book, maybe even to write today after hearing how you overcame so much to become an amazing writer?
Well, I thought we witnessed something amazing today when Becky started on her adventure and didn't bring enough supplies. That right? What a great lesson. What a great lesson. I mean, I say this to my son every day before the lockdown on his way to school. It's like, stop. What do you need to have? What do you need to get? And so we just got to see a live fire demonstration of think back from the task, and what do you need to bring to it? So absolutely. That was awesome.
Real world lessons happening. We'll be back again at 4 p.m. Pacific, everybody. The recording will be available. Thank you so much, Max. Thank you so much, Becky. And we'll see you all online playing. Take care, all.
Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Bye.